and today's session is on resume building and internship, legal internships. So I'm just going to take Aashna on the live with me so that we can start. Hi Aashna.
Hi. Hi.
How are you?
Fine, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good too.
Great.
So should we start?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Yeah. So, Ashna, before we begin with our main topic, I just wanted to know from you. So, you began your career as a lawyer, as an advocate, and now you're here coaching students, mentoring students. So, I just wanted to know how and why did you make this shift and what motivated you?
So, actually, this goes back to my fourth year of college. Like, I started, like, when I was free in my fifth year, right? And I had to do, like, what was, like, some little nonsense with your studies and that. So, I started with my experiences, like, even some of my distant family members crafting their resume or say, like helping them prepare for interviews, etc. So I really enjoyed that process and I continued doing that all throughout. Like, while I was working at SAM, while I was working at Dua, I used to just help everybody who used to, like, come to me and say that, can you please have a look at my resume? Can you please give me some pointers for interview, etc. So that sort of stayed with me till from like my fifth year till date, and like till at least some time, and then the lockdown happened in March 2020. So I had a lot of time to obviously think about a lot of stuff because I mean, like the courts had shut, and like I was a part of the dispute resolution team. So I didn't really have a lot of work to do for some weeks initially. That's when I thought that, I mean, I just took up litigation because I didn't like corporate and I wasn't exactly enjoying it per se, in the sense that I liked it, but I just did it because, I thought, what is the other option anyway? That, if I don't do corporate. That's when I gave it a very hard thought, and I thought that, maybe litigation is actually also not my actual calling, and I really need to think something else that I could be doing with my career. And it was a very obvious answer for me that either it's like something related to mentorship, like helping people with resume, etc., or I have to stick to litigation. And that was again like my personal decision. And nobody like forced me or talked me into this, etc. Nothing. So yeah, I mean, I gave it a shot. Like I started creating content on Instagram, on like LinkedIn, etc. Very few content pieces here and there, and it resonated with people. And that's when I took a call to finally leave my job last year in October. So that's how, like, that the very organic journey that I had from being a full-time advocate to being a career coach. So, yeah.
That's amazing to hear. So then, should we move towards what your expertise is?
Yeah,
Um, so
definitely let's move on to the question.
Yeah. So Ashna, I think that resumes are like, the first impression that any person has on an organization. It's like it can be a make or break. Like if your CV is shortlisted, then only you can move ahead with
Right.
your internship or be it a job. So why don't you guide us through some basics of resume building or what people should keep in mind? So that would be great.
Right. I agree that, resume and even cover letter for that matter, they're like really important, to formulate, like to give your first impression to the organization, right? So, obviously, see, resume, as the word suggests, ideally it is like a one-pager document. It's a French word for summary. However, in the Indian context, when a law firm asks for a resume or a CV, they don't mean they want like a one-pager document or something. They mean that, they want something like a 1.5 or a 2-pager document where they can see everything related to your education, your work experience in terms of your internships, or like, if you've qualified your PQE, then your publications, any sort of, positions of responsibility that you have, or say any co-curricular activities that you've taken part in, moot court activities, right? So these are some of the things that should ideally be there. Like, there shouldn't be an instance wherein, say, the recruiter looks at the resume and the resume is devoid of any of these, say, sections. So this is like the first thing, that try and check mark everything that is possible to be there on the resume, so that you are not rejected just on the basis of a frivolous ground, like, oh, you didn't take part in a moot, so you're just rejected from this job. So that is like one thing, right? Second thing is that try and see that the resume is not vague in how it's worded. Like, instead of, and this is, I think I keep saying this everywhere, that I till date, I don't know why I still see resume wherein people have put in stuff like I worked on Companies Act, I worked on criminal laws. It's good that you worked on these laws, but it's not enough for somebody to understand that what exactly was the nature of the work that was allocated to you, right? Like, the working on Companies Act could have a lot of implications, like say, you could have worked on compliance forms, you could have worked on, say, minutes of the meetings, only editing part of it, you could have worked on contracts related to companies, you could have worked on anything virtually for companies, right? So just try and elaborate. That gives a better perspective to the recruiter, and even the questions asked are not vague and they're not outside the scope of your comfort zone. That is another. So these are the two most important things. Third is that try and see that what is the organization you're applying to. Now, say if you're applying to, say, a judicial clerkship with a Supreme Court judge, and you're on the other hand applying to, say, a law firm, and that to a general corporate team of a law firm, you definitely cannot have the same sort of resume. The sort of internships that you'll highlight in both of these would be different. The sort of publications you would want to highlight would be different, right? So try and see that at least if nothing else, like if not for every place, at least for every type of place, the resume should be curated according to the requirements of the organization. And lastly, I think it goes without saying that formatting should be appropriate. It shouldn't run into pages and pages, and there shouldn't be unnecessary color on the resume. Like, we are all not marketing people, like we're all into the legal field, might as well have that. Then again, don't add photographs. It's not ATS compliant. It's just not required. And you might want to get selected basis on the merit and not how you look, or that's like pretty much obvious. And yeah, I think that is that. And try and just see that it's just not a mixed bag of everything that you've done. So the resume ideally shouldn't look like a dump of everything that you've done till date. You might have done like 20 things, but not all 20 things are required as for the recruiter to look at, right? Like, say for instance, I've seen people who've done, say some air, and they are applying to, say, the dispute resolution team of a law firm. Now, air law wala internship could be really great and amazing, and honestly, even I would have loved to do it. But it's not required for a dispute resolution law firm, right? They do not want to see it, so it's just eating up space on the resume. So don't treat your resume like a master resume which has everything. Don't treat it like that. So I think, yeah, these are pretty much the points.
So I feel as much as it is important to know what to include, it is also important to know what not to include in your resume. Correct. So you mentioned cover letter, and this is something that I also personally did not add in my resume while applying to internships or for jobs. So if you could tell us a little bit about it, what cover letters are and why they are important. So if you could guide us through that.
Right. I think it's a very important question actually, because I think before even somebody looks at your resume, they look at your cover letter, right? So if they're not satisfied with the cover letter, they're not going to even move on to the resume. So before I even begin, I personally like to think that a cover letter is sort of like a bridge between, say, the recruiter and your resume. If they don't like the bridge, they're not going to like go and open your resume. So that is actually a thing. So, as much as the resume is drafted from our perspective, that it showcases our strong points, the cover letter includes everything that the recruiter wants to see. Like, say if they're looking for somebody like who's a good, say, a researcher, obviously your researching skills should be highlighted on the cover letter and nothing else apart from that, right? Because they want to see it and they're going to open the resume only if they feel it's worth it, right? So that's one. Now, if we go back to the fundamental question of what is a cover letter, it's essentially the email that you send to somebody, right? It's not attached as a document. It's not any extra thing. It's simply as simple as, say, if somebody is writing to me, "Hi Aashna, can you please conduct a live session with us on Instagram? Regards, rests the case," right? Suppose like that. Obviously, that is literally the cover letter. I mean, that is the cover letter for you to, you expect an action out of it later, that, whether I say yes, no, or, whatever, we'll have a discussion. So the point is that for you to give somebody an information that what do you expect out of them, and if you attach something for them to see and to get a response out of it, is essentially the cover letter. See, it's very simple. Like, earlier in the day, like, when our parents were, say, of the age of like 21, 22, 23, etc., they used to send out their job applications and they used to write a letter, like literally they used to write letters. And then they used to attach a hard copy of the resume, right? So that letter has just transformed into an email, and that hard copy of the resume has become a PDF copy of the resume today, right? That's that. So literally, I've seen so many people, like, still attaching cover letters. So that could be the first point wherein, you get rejected. Like if you write something like, hi, I'm Aashna, I'm attaching my cover letter and resume. The recruiter is going to get irritated that, they don't know the basic meaning of the document. And then, they expect us to give them an interview in such a noteworthy organization, which is fair. Like, if they would expect you to know some basic stuff. So cover letter is essentially that email that you write to somebody, right? Now I'll just quickly run you through the 3 points that should ideally be there in the cover, like 3 paragraphs. So the cover letter should be of 3 paragraphs if you're addressing it to a law firm or say some professional body wherein you expect them to give you an internship. First is that you tell them who you are, which college are you from, if you graduated, when did you graduate, which college, etc., what was your degree, and what is your professional inclination. Now if I'm writing a cover letter for, say, say my interest area is, say, public international law. So I'll write I have an inclination towards public international law, right? Second paragraph, I will use everything that I have done in pursuance of public international law. So to justify that if I'm claiming that I have an interest in that, I have also done things in pursuance of that, right? So second paragraph is completely for that. And ideally, it should not be beyond 4 lines maximum. In certain cases, if you feel like, you have certain things which need to go, maybe you can go up to 5 lines, but 3 to 4 lines is all that is required. And last is, of course, like, you tell them that you attach the resume for their perusal. And if they've asked for any other document, like say if they've asked for an article or that you've written somewhere, some writing samples, if they've asked for, you attach those. And then the most important thing is, of course, you add a CTA, which is a call to action. That, if you don't add a CTA, nobody's going to reply to it, right? Say, for instance, if we take the same example again, say if, you guys had reached out to me and you would have just said that, hi, we are conducting an Instagram live. That's it. So then I would have said that, okay, what about it? Like, it's great that you guys are conducting the live, but then now what am I supposed to do, right? But then you said that we want to invite you for the Instagram live, right? So that is the CTA, which will prompt me to give you an action that, oh, okay, fine, I'll be happy enough to join you for the live. So till the time you don't have a CTA for somebody in the cover letter at the end, they're not going to reply because they don't have the time, they don't have the motivation to, understand the context of what you are actually asking them. So always have a CTA. An example of CTA could be, if I could please know when can I follow up on the same, could you please let me know if I can be interviewed for the same. Anything could be a CTA, very simple, straightforward, respectful line, that's it. And then yes, you can just simply, and again, I don't know if there's a need to say this also, but yes, a lot of people somehow close it with very informal stuff like, like love Aashna Jain or something like that. You don't need to do all of that. Like, you need to be like warm regards and then, your name, or like maximum yours sincerely. You don't need to be extremely informal in any circumstance, I feel. So yeah, that.
Yeah. So now that we have seen how to build a resume, what to write in your cover letter, now from where should students get these internships? Where can you apply for these internships is my next question to you then.
Okay. See, obviously, one of the basic answers that everybody knows, but I'll still say it for the sake of, the structure, that obviously you first apply to the HR. That is the first step. And then you don't get an answer from the HR in many of the circumstances. Then what do you do, right? So then you see that whether you can find a connection who can give you a referral. Now that connection shouldn't ideally be, it's not necessary that the connection will be on LinkedIn or, anywhere else in the world. It could be like literally anybody who is willing to refer you to a law firm. Now refer means that you bypass the entire procedure of sending out an application and then the application getting reviewed and then you get a reply. You bypass everything and the person directly tells the firm that, listen, I'm vouching for this person. Can you please, interview them for this particular position that they're applying for? Now that obviously that, the referral could come from your previous internship bosses. You can obviously reach out to them because they are the ones who've actually seen your performance, that, that they worked nicely with us and we can vouch for their performance. That is one. Secondly, very underrated way is your college professors. Now, a lot of college professors are till date in touch with, like, a lot of people who had passed out like 10 years back, 20 years back, etc. And those people would have like most likely become, say, very successful litigators, lawyers, academicians, etc. All of that, right? Even bureaucrats for that matter. So obviously reach out to your professors and ask them if they have a referral, if they can refer you to any alumni who's, say, working in this particular field or not. So these are the two things that you should ideally be doing. Third is that you can start networking on LinkedIn. Now, networking on LinkedIn, see, everybody just feels that, we'll just start networking today and tomorrow we'll land up with a job offer. That's not how it can't happen like that, right? I mean, you need to wait for some time. There's a lot of waiting period in networking. Like, even if let's say if you went for a conference or you attended somebody's webinar, you can't just simply send them a message saying, hi, I attended your webinar, now can you give me an internship? That's just too salesy. That is like, it will most likely get you blocked or something from their profile, right? So, like, try and not be so abrupt and so straightforward also. Like, try and obviously establish a professional connection with them, ask them for certain doubts which doesn't require them to roll out professional favors to you, right? So if you just ask them that, I read your article where you had talked about your struggles with mental health in law firm, suppose, right? If you had, suppose, read somebody's article, some of the partners' article, you just reach out to them and just say that, I just wanted to ask you something because I'm feeling the same even while I'm an intern at this organization. So how did you come out of it? Just that. Then obviously it doesn't require them to roll out any favor to you, and they'll be more happy to, talk to you, have a conversation with you because they resonate with you. You both are talking on the same topic. Or say, if they've given a webinar or they've written a paper somewhere, you can obviously reach out to them and say that like, hi, I attended your webinar and I have a follow-up query on that, or I read your article, I have some I have a follow-up query on that. And that's how you start the conversation in the first place. Or if, say, you know them through somebody, like, say, you know them through your alumni status, or like, you know them through a family friend or whatever, just reach out to people. See, again, there is a taboo attached with the fact that you can't take help from your family, or like, it's bad to take help from friends. I don't think, see, till the time you don't really perform well in the law firm or in any organization for that matter, nobody's going to keep you in the long run, even if you had anybody's referral for that matter, right? So it's literally on you how, after taking the referral, you are performing in that organization. So I don't think there's anything guilty about it, that you should, that that you're asking for help from people to refer you. It's actually showing that you have networking skills and you are actually doing a lot of smart work in terms of bypassing the entire procedure very methodically. I mean, it's not wrong. That's how referrals work, and that is what networking is essentially. And litigation, and for that matter, the entire legal practice is based on networking. There are many good lawyers, but they can't establish their practice today because they're not well connected in the industry, in the sense, not that they are not belonging from a good family or anything, but it's just that they don't have the skill to, like, be connected within the industry so that people come and refer to them their cases. So which is, like, just comes down to the same thing, that networking will pay you in the longer run, but not today. But that is one of the most steady way of making your own connections in the industry, especially if you are, say, from a, say if you're not from a very, say if you're from a tier 2, tier 3 sort of a city, if you're a first generation lawyer, or anything like that, wherein, say, the odds are against you, networking will always be in your favor and will give you results in future. So I think these 3-4 methods, if done religiously, I'm sure, like, this should yield some results. So yeah, that.
Right. So we have certain questions from the audience, which we'll be addressing towards the end once all our questions are over. Yeah. So the audience can keep asking questions. We'll address them towards the end. So, like, as you were mentioning about certain things, right, that people should do while applying for internships. Do you think there are certain things that are a big no? Absolutely, like, some people should not. You shouldn't do these things. I would
Yeah.
like to know if there are certain things like that.
Definitely. I think I'm glad that you brought this up, because there's a huge practice of people just reaching out to people and asking for internship. Like I said, even if it's an email, even if it's a LinkedIn message, you can't, without context, just reach out to somebody and say, hi, I'm so and so, can you give me an internship? that is not how you do stuff. And I'm sure, like, you guys must be getting certain applications like this, or like, you might have faced this yourself. But this is, I don't know, like, I don't think after that that other person is going to have any conversation with you whatsoever. So that is one. And secondly, check what is the other person's profile before sending them an application. Now, I left Sam, I think 3 years ago, and people still send me applications saying, "Hi, can you please get us an internship in your team, in my team?" First of all, I was an associate only for like 6 months in my team at Sam. I was like, did you even check my LinkedIn profile? It was 3 years back, only for 6 months. And then also, like, you expect me to do this. How, even if today I wanted an internship and I reached out to my team, I don't think they're going to entertain that also. So, like, much less, if I talk about anybody else's. Okay, that was like on a lighter note, but like, please reach out to people only after checking what they do, what is the profile that they have, are they even in that industry, so to say, to even be giving you an internship. That is one. Secondly, stop sending bulk messages at all costs. Like, I have seen so many organizations reaching out to me. Like, very prime example of this is um, people reaching out to me and to like 100 others in that same email thread, wherein they're not even BCC'd, they're like CC'd, and they'll be like, dear, that's it. And like, they'll be like, we are inviting you for an event, and like, will you like join us, right? And I can see people like Mr. Sham Devan tagged in that, like that CC, and like people like Mr. Harish Salve tagged in that CC, and I'm like, I am nobody, and if they take notice of this spammy email, imagine what they're going to do to you, right? So, I mean, I'm sure that they wouldn't do anything, but the sort of impression that you're creating on such big advocates is not good for you. So again, like, the same thing goes for an internship. If you're sending out, say, a message to 20 people each day on LinkedIn, which is a good practice, like, you should ideally be connecting to a lot of new people each day and trying to have conversations. But don't send messages like dear ma'am / sir on LinkedIn, because literally you know on LinkedIn who they are, right? At maximum, you can just do like dear Aashna, if nothing else, or like, dear Miss Jain. Anything would be good than say dear ma'am / sir on LinkedIn, especially, right? So that is one thing. And yeah, I think these are the few things that you should not do at all costs. And then don't let your resume float around randomly. Like, you don't want your resume to be there on everybody's email, and you don't want to get blacklisted essentially. So just send it only when somebody asks for it. That's it. So yeah, these are the few things that you should take care of.
Okay. And Ashna, do you think there are certain, like, is there a specified duration for which you should do an internship for? Like, is there a specific time that, oh, for 3 months or 6 months? Is that the thing, or does it even matter? Is what my question is.
Okay, yes. Again, like, it's a very pertinent question. Why? Because see, a lot of people, they tend to give in to say, they just feel that we've just interned with the organization and that's more than enough on the CV. Now, if that internship was only for say 2 weeks, it doesn't make any sense. Like, either you have it or don't have it. It's almost the same thing, right? In 2 weeks, you hardly learn anything because you go to the office only for like 10 days out of those 2 weeks. So that is one thing. So I would say that minimum at least 1 month is like minimum. That is also not ideal, but it's minimum that you should do and commit to a place for at least a month. That shows your commitment also to the organization, and you learn some very fundamental or say the basic things that the organization does. So that is one. Secondly, I would say ideal time is 3 months, because you get to know the people, you get to know the organization, you get involved in serious work as well, right? So that sort of gives you it actually exposes you to that whether you actually want to be in that space also or not. Because when I interned only for like one month whenever I used to in college, and that gave me an impression, oh wow, I'm very much suited to these internships. However, if I would have interned say continuously 3-4 months, I would have maybe gained a perspective at that time that this is not something that I'm cut out for, and I should probably look for some alternate career option, right? So I think 3 to 4 months puts you completely into the zone of how an associate works, and it tells you the burdens that you are going to have. But I think anything beyond 4 to 6 months, anything beyond that, I would say, is a little problematic for you, not for the organization. Obviously, it's nothing problematic for them, but for you, because then you start to get tagged like that you worked with them for 6 months, but why didn't you get a PPO? People do have that tendency, and they do ask questions. So before you commit to an organization, say for a year, right? There are certain law firms who would say that, you know, you will have to commit to us for a year, or say for 11 months, for 8 months. I've seen a lot of people doing this. I don't think it's a very wise option, because ultimately you're closing doors to other opportunities. So I think ideal is like 3 to 4 months, maximum 5 months if you want to stretch it. Anything beyond that becomes problematic for you if you don't end up getting a job there. So yeah, that.
Right. So, following on that question, I wanted to ask that is there a like the number of internships? Say,
Hmm.
is there an ideal number, or does it even matter how many internships a student does? Is that something that is important?
Yes. So I think in the lockdown, I started seeing that people have started doing like more than like 10, 15 internships somehow. And you know, they're still like in the second year, and they still have like more than 15 internships, which is not ideal case scenario. So a number of internships doesn't matter at all, like at all. So see, because by the end of it, you need to really have like a two-pager resume. So how many internships can you ideally also include is one question that you need to ask to yourself. Maximum four. If you stretch it five, that's also like the max, right? So five internships is the space that you have if you add very less material under each internship. Because apart from that, you'll have your moods, you'll have your publications, you'll have your co-curriculars, positions of responsibility, education. So that is one. I think more than four, five is like it's just too much and it's not required ideally. That is one. Second is I have seen people with even one good internship getting a PPO with another law firm on that same area of law, because the first internship that they did was so valuable and it actually taught them a lot of things. It was a longer duration internship. However, in cases I have seen that people have done 10, 12 internships with law firms and they've still not gotten, say, a job, because probably the skill set that they picked from each team was different and it wasn't resonating with the law firm that they applied to, right? So there is no straight jacket formula as to the number of internships. You should just see that what is the crux that is getting out of an internship. Like, say if you've done like 10 internships with 10 senior advocates, right? And the only thing that you did with each advocate is only say reading files, right? So that's not adding up to anything. Like literally, you learned that at the first advocate, maybe with two advocates. Then why did you do those 8 internships? However, on the other hand, if you just had 3 internships in one, you learned filing. In second, you learned how to compile case briefs. In third, you learned how to draft, say, petitions, right? Writ petition, revision petition. Obviously, it adds up to a lot. So the crux is that the splatter is a better, say, candidate for, you know, to get them a job. So this is how you should see that what skill set have we picked up, and if even if not skill set, even if the entirety of the work was research based, still like what is the, you know, the length at which you've done research on a particular area of law. So I think that matters, not the number at all.
Right. And so the last question before we move ahead to take audience questions would be that generally for like say tier two, tier three colleges, so not that renowned or that known, it becomes a little difficult for these students to say get internships.
Right.
So any tips for these people or these students to make it easier or to get the make the chances higher of getting in internships? So what would your tips be?
Right. So I think again this is an issue that, you know, is not addressed by a lot of colleges, and even like nobody wants to talk about it, because like everybody is claiming on their website that, you know, we have 100% placement, be it any college. I've never seen any college saying that, you know, we don't have placement. Literally, I've never seen any college. But we all know the sort of reality, right? So that is one. So ideally, I would say that the sort of circle that you have on LinkedIn and even otherwise professionally matters a lot for you, because those people are going to apprise you of things. Like for instance, even if we don't talk about internships, just generally also, if somebody is in NLS, suppose today, right? They already know about Rhodes scholarship, like say from year one, they prepare themselves for that Rhodes scholarship from year one, right? However, equally deserving person in any other ABC college, say a tier two, tier three college, wouldn't know about it and wouldn't even give it a shot, right? Because they don't know about it. They don't know of the avenues that are available to them, because they're available to everybody. It's not like that only people in NLS can apply for roads. Anybody can apply for roads, right? So your circle matters because they apprise you of new opportunities, which your college doesn't do that. And similarly, even say for internships, like I have seen so many students from, from less renowned colleges, like giving into very exploitative internship opportunities, because they feel that, you know, this is the only sort of thing that we deserve basis the college that we are in. However, if they would have spoken to their peers from other colleges, they would have known that there are places who are actually not exploitative, A, and they don't care about your college. They really take everybody who's good enough and who's meritorious enough. So like coming back to the same thing, your circle matters a lot because they literally apprise you of a lot of opportunities that are out there for you. And secondly, I feel that if your college is not helping you in terms of getting placements or internships, it's time for you to make your own connections. Literally, that is the one thing that I would say, that put yourself out there, talk to people on LinkedIn, make connections, not only in terms of peers now, but in terms of industry experts. Like industry experts say, for a person who wants to be in the GC team of a law firm, would be a partner of the law firm, would be a principal associate of the law firm. For somebody who wants to be in litigation, could be like very senior lawyers, not very senior also, like somebody say with 10-15 years of experience, that. And lastly, I would say take part in as many competitions, because that is one way of you to connect with people. Like say if you take part in any moot, you would have seen that a lot of final round judges are usually very well established lawyers in the industry. So that essentially, say, not only final rounds, actually most of the rounds are judged by like very good advocates and lawyers, etc., and even other like established people of the legal industry. So make it a point that after every moot, you, or say every competition for that matter, you reach out to them, whoever judged your round, and tell them that obviously thank them for the judging, ask them for any feedback if you can, and all this after the competition has gotten over, and then connect with them, because that's your one, say, connect with the person who's established and who doesn't at this point doesn't care about your college, because they already judged you for something that you took part in, and they were a judge for that. So that is like your one connection. So I think if these things are done properly, it should help you in some way. So yeah.
So we'll quickly take the audience questions also. So one question is, do you think publications are important for being an in-house counsel once there's an experience of around 2-3 years?
So I think publications are important throughout the life. If you are, say, if you are in the legal field, right? Because law develops, it's very dynamic. Every day we are seeing there are like IBC is literally 6 years old, but it still has like hundreds of amendments, not hundreds, but like it has amendments, and it has like more than I think 300 judgments already. So the point is that if we don't upskill ourselves, now upskilling can only be in two ways: either you do a course or you read up on it. That's it. So when you read up, ideal way is that you also put it on paper, so that it becomes fixated in your mind, and also it helps other people of the legal fraternity, they'll also benefit from your knowledge. So it's sort of giving it back also, and like fixating it for yourself also. So I think for a legal professional all throughout the life, irrespective of whether you're in academia, whether you're in law firms, whether you're a part of the company, I think publications are very important. That is one. And we would see the trend increasing. Like say we know firms like NDA and CAM, they have one of the best publications. Like they literally spend so much on their publications itself. They have internships for research only, like apart from other things. So I think that becomes very important for us to understand that how much importance if a law firm is placing on research, it's definitely something that we should be considering as important. So yeah, it's definitely important.
The next question is, how can we ensure we land up a paid internship?
There is no, I don't think there's no formula. Definitely no formula for it. I wouldn't recommend you to, obviously I can't name any websites like this, but I wouldn't recommend you to just follow, say, the paid internship rule on, say, certain websites that give you information on internships, because see, a paid internship doesn't mean that it's a good internship, first of all, right? Obviously, it means that it recognizes that some people are not privileged enough to do internship and they would need money. That is great. I mean, that's obviously like amazing and like kudos to them. However, if you feel that you are not in a position, like if you feel that you are at least privileged enough to do an internship which is not paid also, so don't make a criteria that we should only get paid internships. Okay, so just see that what is the sort of internship experience that people who interned with them earlier had, what are the sort of Google reviews they have, what is the work profile that they're offering you. Say if somebody is, if there's a, say, a legal organization, but they are just hiring you to do data entry work, especially for that. Data entry is not wrong, but if they're hiring legal professionals to do that, then it's something not, it's something that you shouldn't do as a law student. You should be focusing on, your legal research and drafting skills. But if say there's somebody who wants to be in that field, of course that data entry job is definitely worth it, and they'll make money also out of it. But yes, there's one thing that I've definitely noticed, that companies usually give paid internships. Not, I mean, there are certain law firms also, but companies mostly I've seen that there are paid internships with them. So yeah, that if that helps you in any way.
Right. So there are two questions on the similar lines. So cold emailing or messaging on LinkedIn, will that help in getting internships?
Again, see, I would say that cold emailing is it's a very risky zone. Like I've definitely gained out of cold emailing in life. It has definitely helped me, do things. But still, like, do it with caution, because the moment we hear cold emailing helps, everybody is going to start sending 100 emails to the same partner, whoever ABC, if we mention any, right? That is not how cold emailing works. If you have something to actually contribute to their team, to their work, to their practice, only then say send them a cold email. On the other hand, LinkedIn is made for this purpose. LinkedIn is literally a professional networking platform. It just says this, that I am there for you for this purpose. So why not make use of it? Like, even if say you don't have something to contribute, you can still make a professional conversation with them, right? It's a little less spammy in nature, I would say, right? Because if you send out an email and it doesn't concern them, they're going to report spam. But if on LinkedIn, if it doesn't concern them, they might as well give you like a very half-hearted reply, say, for instance, right? So there's a difference. I would say that first try and apprise yourself of cold messaging on LinkedIn, become a little comfortable with that, and then maybe you can shift on to cold emailing. Because when you cold email, you don't cold email anybody. You obviously cold email the person in the highest authority, or say after that. So it's a little, I would say it's a little risky, and it's too much responsibility on our shoulders. So yeah, that.
Right. And last question, what should be done in case where one finds after a few days that this is not the ideal firm, that they've taken an internship, and that after a few days in that internship, they feel that no, this is not something I want to do. So what do you do then?
So, okay, so now there could be two cases. A, that you just feel that this is not the ideal place where I wanted to be. However, you've committed to them, right? Like, say, even if, say, say you wanted to work in, again, same example. So if you wanted to work in IPR, and the work that they're giving you is, say, related to domestic violence laws, right? So obviously it's not something that you expected to work on, but you've committed to them, and and there's no blanket ban on for them to give you any other work. I mean, most of the organizations wouldn't claim that, okay, fine, 100% guarantee will give you work only on this. There are very few, but then that they are very exceptional cases. So there's no blanket ban. So ideally, for the period that you've committed to them, just complete that, and then don't get it extended. So that is one case. However, if there is some grave circumstances, say, wherein you're being harassed, suppose, or say there is some sort of other problem which concerns you personally and not professionally, then of course you can tell them, you can talk to the HR of that organization, if there is one, that I am facing certain issues like this, and for this I wouldn't be able to continue this internship. Now, most of the cases I've seen that for internship they wouldn't make you sign a bond. Obviously, like for internship they wouldn't. So I don't think there's any legal liability on you. But yes, if there is one, please check that, and then don't take this advice. Just check that, and then leave that organization accordingly. So yeah, that.
Okay. So I think we're done even with there's one more question. Just 1 minute, I'm checking. So the question is, does the organization we intern at matter more than the kind of work you do in that internship?
Now, again, there's no, I wouldn't give you like a black and white answer that, okay, no, it doesn't matter, or yes, it does matter. So at times it does, at times it doesn't. Like, say, for you, first of all, the first thing should be to see that what skill are you gaining. That should be the first priority as a student, right? As, say, a first year, second year student, or a third year if you're from a 5-year law school. And after that, if your aim is, say, to be in a tier 1 law firm as an associate, of course they are going to check you that whether you have worked in similarly placed organizations or not, right? Now, if you worked in similarly placed organizations, your chances of getting recruited in tier 1 firms would increase exponentially. But if you haven't, but you work with all smaller firms, and but you've gained the skill, then the chances are a little dicey. So I, again, like I said, that there's no one answer that it's right or wrong. But yes, try and have a mix of both if possible. But even if not, like, don't lose heart that even if you have all modest forms on the CV and the skill that you gain from that particular organization is good enough, then why not? Like, you can always network with people in the bigger organization and become a trainee and then an associate with them. So yeah, that.
So I think overall, this is a very, very helpful session, I'm sure, for everyone. Would you like to say something in conclusion to everyone?
I mean, two things only. Like, first, I mean, I've always wanted to appreciate the work that you guys are doing. That is one. So, like, keep up, keep doing that. That's great. Rest the case is brilliant. And secondly, I feel
Mhm.
students shouldn't really take so much pressure. It's fine. I mean, it's okay. Like, you'll get through whatever you want to. I understand that the times are tough, and 2020 and 2021 batch, especially, has suffered the most in terms of not getting any opportunities as such in terms of employment. So, that's fine. It's okay. Like, you will get opportunities, but like, it's not worth it. See, I spent my fourth year of college just like sulking and like being depressed about the job that I wanted. And even after that, I left it in 6 months. It didn't really make a difference in my life. It wasn't worth it. I realized it later. So don't kill yourself over something. Do it because you want to learn the skill, because you actually want to, not just to get that job obsessively, right? So just to actually be in the industry and to be able to work on, say, some agreement or say some transaction that you always wanted to work. So I think that is that from my side. Yeah.
I think that was the perfect way to end this session. So thank you so much, Ashna, for being on our live, and I hope in the future also we can do similar sort of sessions which can help everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.